Alrighty, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is El Diablo Mexicano. So today I want to give you guys something new. I want to give you guys a new video. And so in the past I've done like news segments. I've talked about the updates for Killing Floor 2. I've talked about the new Tomb Raider game. I've done guides for like Assassin's Creed Origins and then the Killing Floor 2 collectibles. Well, today I want to give a little review on the beta that's been out for about a week now. And so for that, I'm going to be giving, this is going to be completely my opinion, this is going to be my first impression on the beta. But however, I want to emphasize that most of these things are going to be my opinions. I'm going to be talking about some of the bugs, but I'm going to be telling you about what I like about the beta and what I dislike about the beta. If you disagree with me, let me know in the comments, we can chat about it. But again, as a heads up, most of this is going to be my opinions on this. And so my opinions might vary and might differ from yours, and so that's expected because they're my opinions. Other than that, let's get this show started. Starting us off, I want to be talking about the Prestige system. I want to start off here because I have not really touched the Prestige system. The reason that is because I keep switching, going in and out of the beta, so I don't want to kind of mess anything up. But I do want to show you guys what it looks like because some of you may have been having questions about it. So this will be the very first time I'm using it, so we'll see what goes on with it, and hopefully it's not too buggy. But as you can see, my perk's level 25. I still have like my configure screens where I can kind of pick what skills I want to go with my perk. But then also, once we hit level 25, I have this lovely little prestige button that pops up. I think I'm going to go with Commando because I like Commando. I use it a lot. It's going to be fairly quickly for me to level that sucker back up. So I'll prestige it. So it looks like, yeah, so it has all the benefits. So it'll show me my rank. And that's kind of cool because I'm assuming that based on this, I can like keep upgrading my rank button and making it look cooler and cooler. But you can see that it'll tell you that I'll have a permanent 30% bonus XP modifier, so that's kind of cool. I'll get Vault Dash, I'll get the knife, and then I'll, like we already talked about the icon. And so doing so will reset my perk back to level 0. Yep, it's done, it's done. Alright, so it sounds good to me, let's do it. Alrighty, and so this is nice because it shows that you can't kind of mess it up and accidentally set it back to 0. Ooh. Alright, okay. Alright, so my Commando perk has now just been prestiged, so that looks pretty nice. So I do have a bit of a different emblem, so for those you cannot tell. I've seen people playing it, I've seen people who've like, almost like, I think a couple people like max prestige it from what I've seen because they have like very, very different emblems. But that's kind of cool, and so now as you can see, it's all the way back, the prestige button is locked. So that's super cool though, because I mean, now I should have, theoretically have the knife. Let's see if it came in. Uh-oh. I might have to reload the game, but I'm not seeing it, so that could be something, because I know that's been a problem with, like, the... just in general, because I know, like, I know that with the vault crates and everything, like, usually they have trouble with that, so I might have to restart my game and check it out. But, so the cool thing is that it's done, and so I'll check it out. Give me 1 second so I can reboot the game. Alright, so I just rebooted my game, and it does look like it does count, like, I do need a reboot, so, but other than that, I did get the knife, and it does look pretty nice. I'm kind of hoping that I'll keep getting different kinds of, like, knife skins as they progress on through the prestige system. But other than that, this is kind of a nice way to show that, yes, I prestige, yes, I'm badass, that kind of thing. But I like it, looks super cool, and that's for every single, like, weapon, like, perk, my bad. Every single perk will have their own different knives, so that's kind of cool. Regarding to kind of like I'm talking about my reviews, I think it's nice to have a prestige system. I do enjoy this because it adds replayability for some people. I know that's been something that a lot of people have been asking for a while. The only regret that I have is that Tripwire didn't have any achievements attached to it. So I'll pull up my achievement list if... Nope, Steam's not letting me. But I'll put a picture right here, but looking at my achievements, like, all the achievements are map-based so far, and that's been with, like, the new update because we only had 10 new ones. And I think it would have been nice to have like a couple achievements here and there tied to the prestige system just to make it a little worthwhile for some people, because I know there are achievement hunters out there and I'm one of them. So it'd be nice to kind of have that option of, maybe it would be prestige or commando perk or prestige 1 perk or prestige it twice. It'd be nice to have like an achievement or 2 attached to it. Maybe not like max prestige, but even then, I think it would be cool to have a couple, like 1 or 2 achievements attached to that, just again to add it, make it worth their time for that much. After that, now that we just talked about prestige, I'm going to be first covering the maps. Looking at the 2 new maps, I'm going to be starting off with Lockdown. So for those who do not know, Lockdown was the community-made map by Rewire, and you're basically on like a space station in a little spaceship, and you're flying through space. It's a very beautiful map. I'm going to start off by saying that. It's very well put together. There's a very good atmosphere. Things I like about it, you can kind of... It has almost all your stereotypical sci-fi kind of things you'd expect to see on a space station. You have a medical bay, you have a cryogenics lab, you have an engineering bay. It's very well put together. I liked it a lot. It's been very fun playing it. On that note, though, it is definitely the hardest of the two new maps. But how I like to describe Lockdown is that it's a holdout map pretending to be a standard map. And I say that because you have maps like Descent, you have the Nightmare map. Those maps are very heavily focused on close quarters combat. You don't have a lot of room to move around. You kind of have to stay in one spot and hold out against the enemies. That's kind of how Lockdown is. There are a lot of very tight corridors. Even the rooms themselves aren't very big, and so there's not a whole lot of room to move around in. And so it also places a lot of emphasis on close quarters combat. And so every time I've played, you can't really kite around because there's a lot of dead ends. It's hard to get used to the map, and so because of that, I've had a lot of deaths in this map. So it's definitely one of the harder to because it's definitely focused on close quarters combat. Other than that, the other thing I want to talk about is that it's not that it's a bad map, and that's why it's hard. I do like the challenge. However, because of that, it just means I need to get more used to the map. So even though I love the map, I know I need to play it a little bit more, just kind of get used to the layout and know which quarters are dead ends, that kind of thing. Because I've had a lot of deaths on this map. It's actually the only 2 achievements I have left to get in this game are for Suicidal, beating it, Lockdown, and then Hell on Earth. But other than that, it's a great map. I liked it a lot. I know that other people have also been complaining about the difficulty because it's like I was saying, it's heavily focused on close quarters combat. And so if your team gets overrun, it's very easily to get overrun. If that's the case, then you need to be working together. Otherwise, if you're just with a bunch of randos and not a very well knit team, then shit's gonna hit the fan fast. And that's because you're gonna get overrun. You're gonna have people not paying attention, not moving with the rest of the group. You're gonna have people focusing too much on the Zeds behind them, not the ones in front of you. So overall, it just means like it's a bad time. But on the notes, like I said, it is a great map, and I think it's beautiful and it's very well done. Moving on from that, I'm gonna be talking about the second map, Airship. For those of you who do not know, Airship is actually more like a sequel to one of the maps in the very first Killing Floor. In Killing Floor 1, you had a map called Steamland, and in Steamland, you kind of helped out this guy named Ringmaster Lockhart, and you helped him get on his airship, and it's kind of like a Zeppelin, and off he took off, and that was the last you saw of him. Now, Airship is where that story left off, and so now you're on that same airship, that same Zeppelin, you're helping out Ringmaster Lockhart a second time. What I love about this map is that you can almost explore everything on the ship. You can go into the cockpit. You have like a little lounge kind of dining area that you can hang out in. You can go on to the main deck. There's like a little, almost like a hydroponics kind of plant room. And then you also have the engine room. You can go in there as well. And so I think it's very cool. It's very well put together. You can tell that a lot of thought and detail has been put into this map. But I have to say, just kind of get it off my chest, this is my favorite of the 2 maps. I want to make sure that everyone knows that yes, I am very biased, and that's because I love this map. There's no way to explain how great and how wonderful it is until you play it yourself. And like I said, it is absolutely stunning. You can tell that a lot of work's been put into this map, and it's just absolutely gorgeous. On that note, though, it is definitely the easier of the 2 maps, so while Lockdown was the hardest, that must mean that this is the easiest, and that holds true. You have a lot of areas you can run around in. You do see kind of some of the tight quarters like I was talking about with Lockdown, but there's definitely a lot more open space for you to run around in. And so it makes it a little bit easier, but easier doesn't mean worse, as in this case, because like I said, it is definitely my favorite of the 2 maps. However, while the map is amazing in every way, the objective mode that's tied into that map raises some concerns in my opinion. If we're being honest, I don't think it's very good. I don't think it lived to the hype that it should have. So here's kind of why. To start us off, I'm going to be a little blunt and say that Killing Floor 2 already has way too many modes and different maps. At the moment, we have Standard Mode, which is your basic survive so many waves, fight the Patriarch. And your standard maps are going to be like Outpost, Burning Paris, Biotics Lab, Farmhouse. Those are your big, large open areas that you can run around in, hold up in a spot, and fight the Zeds. Then they introduced Holdouts with the Descent and Nightmare. And those are the maps where you fight off in a small single area where, like I was talking about the Lockdown, it's very small, close quarter combat. And once we know that area, you go on to a different one. And some of them have 7 different map areas, some of them have 10. And so you go from there. Then after that, they introduced progression, which is what we saw with the Krampus Lair. You start off in the kind of like the outside part of the Santa's workshop, then you move into the inner lumber yard, then you move down to the caves, and then the lower part of the caves, and then you fought Krampus in the boss lair. That was a completely different set. That was a different mode. After that, they just introduced endless mode, and that had maps like Dissector that were made for it, where it was just an infinite amount of Zeds coming at you. The waves never ended until you died. Now they just added objective mode, and here's where I'm a little upset about it. It's not like objective mode is a different kind of mode like your standard endless, because if you go onto your map selection screen, you can choose between whether or not you want to have standard mode or survival mode or endless mode. You can't do that with this. Once you play Airship, you have to do the objectives. Like, the objective mode is tied into it. There's no way to do Airship without the objectives. It's always there, and so that's one of my main concerns with it. And the reason why that is because in the very first Killing Floor game, when they first introduced objective mode, they had Steamland, which is the map, and they also added Steamland objective mode, and you could choose between which of the two you wanted to play. So it's almost like releasing two different things all at once. You could play your standard survival game with Steamland, or you could play the objective mode, and then you went to a separate server for that mode. And I liked that. I really liked that. Because I want to play Airship without the objectives, but I can't. If you play Airship, like I said, if you play Airship, you have to do objective mode. Like, objective mode is tied into it. And that leads into the next thing, my next concern is that the objectives aren't mandatory. And so, I like the first game, objective mode, because it told a story. And I felt like Killing Floor 2 needed that a bit, because there's no single player campaign, there's no really story-driven moment in it. It's just kill as many things as you can. While it's fun and all, I do like a little background, I do like a little lore, I like a little storytelling in it. And so objective mode added that. When I was playing objective mode, I could kind of see what happened at the beginning up to the end. Not in Airship. If you don't complete the objectives, nothing happens. You just don't get extra dosh. Whether it's the vault dosh or actual dosh to spend in the game for new guns, you don't, there's no penalty almost for not doing the objectives. It's not a required
In the grand scheme of things,
I personally feel like it would have been a much better idea to have the character start off in one part of the ship and slowly make their way up to the other end. So we could have started off in the engine room and made repairs to the engine to make sure we're flying correctly. Then moved up to the next section and watered Lockhart's plants. Yes, that's an actual objective. And kind of help them from there. Then slowly move up to the cockpit. Because at the moment it just feels way too sporadic and way too open, and it's more like it just feels like it's another stand your ground, pointless filler kind of thing. It doesn't feel like it adds much to the map. It doesn't feel like it does a whole lot. And so if they actually kind of worked on incorporating what they've done with the past Killing Floor and its objective modes, I think it would have been a much better success. The combination of these two things makes me feel like a objective mode was rushed. That's because, like I was saying, in the past Killing Floor, every time you had an objective mode, you could choose whether or not you wanted to do just objective mode or the survival game. And I really, really enjoyed that. And then on top of that, in all the objective modes, they told a story. You started from point A to point B. There was no set amount of waves. When you played objective mode, you played it until you got there, and it was almost like an endless mode, because if you just sat around not doing the objectives, Zeds would keep coming and coming and coming. So you put this pressure and you get the stuff done as quickly as you could. You don't see that in Airship. You don't see that in Killing Floor 2's objective mode, and I think it falls a little flat. It doesn't feel like it's a necessary thing to do. It doesn't feel like it's mandatory. It doesn't have the same drive and feel that I saw in the very first Killing Floor. Moving on from there, we're going to be looking at the new enemy type, the Edars. So, unfortunately, just like the last one I was just talking about, the objective mode, I think the Edars kind of fall a little flat in this game. In my personal opinion, I don't think they really fit the feel and the environment that Tripwire has in Killing Floor 2. And the reason why I say that is because we have the Clots, the Scrakes, the Fleshpounds, we have all these mutants running around, and then boom, just out of nowhere there's some little robot guy. To me, it doesn't really fit very well. I don't think it makes a lot of sense. I don't think the flow is there, so I don't think that makes a lot of sense to have robotic enemies in there. Honestly, I think they'd be better as an event. So maybe one of the weekly events, throw in the Edars there. I think that'd be perfect. Or even if it was a seasonal event, because we had the DAR event not too long ago where you could get the cyberpunk accessories and stuff like that. If they had Edars during that, that'd be perfect, because that fits everything. We have the DAR events and then Edars for enemies. That'd be excellent. But in the overall game itself, I think they're a little weird. This doesn't even begin to talk about how broken the enemies are at the moment. So, for example, the Trapper he shoots a little beam at you and you can get stuck and you can't do anything. Unfortunately, though, the Trapper, he has a ridiculously high length of like range for that weapon, but also that weapon, the little beam, will like go through anything. It doesn't matter if it's Zeds or walls. He will hit you through anything, and you'll be stuck there. And like there have been times where I've been running around the room, and I don't see any enemies, but there's an EDAR Trapper right next door. Then boom, he hits me and goes through the wall, and I can't move, and I didn't see him, and so that's a little problematic. Other things that I've personally seen and know people have also been talking about are that the boom and the assault EDARs, the damage is a little high. If I remember correctly, someone was talking about how the Boomer specifically, his rocket launchers deal about as much damage as the Patriarch's weapons. So that's a huge thing because we have a little, like the EDAR is not supposed to be a boss, and if he's dealing with power as a boss, that's kind of a pain. And so I think they might be a little, I think they need to be nerfed is what I'm trying to say. I think the Boom and the Assault Robot, I think they just need to get nerfed a little bit, have a little of their damage taken down. Because otherwise you have to try to dodge their bullets and their rockets just to blow them up apart, and because they have little weak spots, but as you're getting, like, when you're taking high damage, it's kind of hard to focus on those weak points. So all in all, while the EDARs have a nice variety in the game, I don't think that variety really fits. Now, as we move forward, I'll be looking at the new gun mechanic, the upgradable weapons. So while I was a little disappointed by the objective mode, I'm even more so by the weapon upgrade system. I really do not like this mechanic, and I personally think that is probably the worst thing that has been introduced in this game. When I talk about that, so at first Tripwire kind of introduced this idea to kind of help basically add more variety in gameplay. So that way it's not just one person buying the big guns and that's the only gun you can play with. Because now, if you maybe like the MP7 or maybe like the P90 for your SWAT class, now you have the option to buy those guns but then upgrade them so they do about as much damage as the Chris, or they can get it up to the same tier level as a Chris. So it's not just like basic weapons versus the top weapons. Now it adds a bit more variety in how you can choose how you play. So that sounds all good and all, but they did a lot of things that kind of hurt this mechanic. First thing being that they nerfed all of our tier 4 weapons. When I say that, it's not like they just took a little bit of damage points off of them. Your Scar, your Railgun, your Chris, all those big guns went from tier 4 down to a tier 3, so they lost a lot of damage points in that area. So basically what this means is that if I want my guns that are supposed to be already these big tier 4 weapons, if I want them to get back to that tier 4 status, I now have to upgrade them. So that's just more money that I have to spend in other areas than just buying more guns. So therefore I'm going to need even more money than what I normally did when I played this game before the update. And so all this leads to is it feels like now my money's being split into so many different ways when I'm playing the game. Not only am I trying to focus on like buying ammo and armor and then maybe getting a second gun, then I have to worry about upgrading my guns. And the upgrades take a lot of money. So if I buy like a Scar, in order to upgrade it towards normal tier 4 status, that's $700. To get to a tier 5, the highest level possible, that's another $1,500. So the amount of money is insane. Especially in a multiplayer mode when I'm playing with my friends or random people online, I feel like I have to give them, I feel like I have two choices, either be stingy and buy all the stuff for myself, or at least try to help them out because some of the lower people don't have the money to buy other guns or upgrade their current ones. And so it's just like this thing that really hurts the community, and I feel like it hurts the game overall. And so looking at it, I think that Tripwire needs to either do a couple things. They either need to reduce the amount of money, like for the upgrades, or reduce the amount of money that the guns cost, or they just need to scrap this idea in general because this mechanic needs a huge overhaul. It needs some major changes because otherwise it's just going to keep ruining the game and not make it as fun for some of these people. Now for the final part of this video, which I'm sure a lot of people are looking forward to. The guns, the weapons. How are the new guns? Are they good? Are they shit? How are these new weapons that are brought into this update? Well, I'm happy to say these are probably the best fucking things about this update. While the maps are good and everything else is kind of like mediocre or bad, the weapons are on par and they're fantastic. They're the best things about this update. We're going to be starting off with the Static Strikers. So in my news reveal, I kind of talked about them, and when I first saw them, I thought of something kind of like the like the plasma welder gun from Dead Space. That's kind of what I thought. And then someone pointed out that no, they're actually more like the Power Fist from Fallout. And so that's a huge game changer because while I thought it was like more like a laser gun or a plasma gun, they're even better. These things are probably the best goddamn things. I don't normally play Berserker. It's not my favorite class. It's not my favorite perk. But these Static Strikers just make you an unstoppable brawler. You can run in and decimate everything in your path, and it makes me so happy playing this. One of my matches when I was playing on Lockdown, literally everyone was a berserker using Static Striker just because it was so much goddamn fun to just destroy everything in your path. I loved it. I loved it, loved it, loved it. And not to mention they have like this little boost of power against the Edars, I think, because they're electricity. And so I don't know if it's just me seeing things or Tripwire actually made them deal more damage to the Edars. But it's so satisfying when like I'm playing support and I'm getting the Edars destroying me to be a berserker and just wailing them and beat the crap out of them. So I love the Static Strikes and I think they're amazing. The next one is the M99 AMR, the anti-material rifle. Again, amazing gun. Personally, I think it's overpowered, but that's okay. I absolutely love it. Originally, when I played Sharpshooter, I used to like the railgun. Comparing these two together, I think the M99 is a lot better. I absolutely love this gun. It's a single-shot rifle, which is like the one downside about it, but that makes sense to kind of balance out its power. But it just fucks up everything in its path, and it's absolutely gorgeous seeing the headshots and the amazing stuff I can pull off with the AMR that I can't really do with some of the other guns. And so it's just amazing, amazing gun. You can feel the kick, you can feel the power, you can see it just blow the heads off of the flush pounds and the Scrakes. And so it is probably my new favorite gun for the Sharpshooter, because I absolutely love this gun. And then the last one, the Doomstick. Oh, I love the Doomstick. It is probably my new favorite gun, like hands down, and it's the best gun in this update, in my opinion. Absolutely love the Doomstick. When I normally play, I had a discussion with with another YouTuber, another guy who was commenting on my videos, and while he preferred like the AA-12 for the Big Zeds, I love the Boomstick, the double-barreled shotgun. Now the Doomstick is just 2 times better than the Boomstick, and I absolutely love it. So the Doomstick, it's a 4-barreled shotgun, which is perfect because now I have more ammo, and not just like in my rounds, like I feel like the gun actually has more ammunition for you to shoot as well. So it is amazing. It's my favorite gun this update, my favorite gun hands down, and it's just fun to use all 4 barrels at once and empty them to Scrake and watch it go flying, or even a flesh pound. There have been so many games where I've been playing running around with people, and you can see the terror in their faces as they're being chased by a Scrake, just for me to pop them boom boom. Like either 2 shots or 1 quad shot just hits at the Scrake and it's gone. So I love the guns in this update. If anything, the 2 things that Tripwire really show that they know how to do are making damn good maps and damn good guns. And so that is all I have to say about the weapons. So if you have not had a chance to try it out, I gotta say you are in for a treat because they are amazing. The very last thing I want to talk about, now that I'm done talking about everything the update brought, I want to begin specifically talking about things that are involving the beta. And so there's some good things and bad things. So one of the good things that Tripwire did was they did increase the difficulty. So for your Suicidal and Hell Nerf difficulties, they just got a little bit of a jump, and I really enjoy that. For me, the game's getting a little too easy where I could actually beat Suicidal and Hell Nerf by myself. Now it's getting to the point where I'm really struggling when I try to play it by myself, so I'm really enjoying that. It makes it more of a challenge. I love the challenge in this game. And so that's great, but because it's a beta, there's been a lot of huge bugs going on as well. So if you guys have not done the beta and you're planning on it, be warned, there are some bugs going on. One of the biggest ones being that because it's PC only, if you launch the game right away, and so you load up Killing Floor to jump into a game, when that very first game you enter, as soon as you boot up the game, it's going to be very, very poorly optimized. You're going to have very huge FPS spikes and drops. Like when I first started, like when I jumped on, I noticed that I would start at like 60 FPS, and my computer dropped all the way down to like maybe 8 at one point, was the lowest I've seen. And it's just horrendous. They have guns not registering when you buy them right away, so sometimes when you buy a gun, you have to wait like 10 seconds, and then your character will pull it up out of nowhere, and so it's like, oh, what the hell, I thought I bought a gun. And even though it's still in your inventory, your guy just didn't carry it out. And the same thing at the very beginning. So when it's talking about the FPS drops, sometimes at the very beginning you won't have a gun, and you have to run around for like a good maybe 20 seconds before your gun pops up, and at that point you're already getting swarmed, and so if you're lucky you won't die, if not you'll get eaten. So just those come things. I've seen a lot of other bugs as well. So definitely the guns not popping up and the poor optimization have been some of them. People also complained about there have been like Zeds just like disappearing and not popping up, that kind of thing. But overall it's a beta, so I'm not too concerned. I just want to bring those up to you guys' attention. So hopefully those will be changing soon. It's not going to be affecting my review in any way. It's just some things I want to point out, let you guys know about. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, that is all the time I have for today's video, and this is a long one, so if you made it all to the end, thank you so much for sticking around. It's been a long video, and I had a lot to say, and I didn't even say everything I wanted to say because I didn't want to ramble too much in this video. But overall, I want to give a quick little recap before I say my goodbyes. That way you guys can kind of, again, let it all soak in my opinions, as well as assign everything a numerical number, just so you guys know exactly how I stand, and whether it's a 5 out of 10 or a 10 out of 10, or where I feel about the stuff. Starting with Lockdown, the very first thing, I'm going to give that map, I'll give it an 8 out of 10. And even though I really enjoyed that map, I've seen some of the other maps that Tripwire has done, and I think it could use a little more oomph into it. I mean, we've seen the Tragic Kingdom with all their traps in it. I mean, hell, Zed Landing has a erupting volcano in the background, so I expect a little bit more from my maps in that area. So Lockdown, is a very beautiful map, but I think it could use a little more oomph, so around 7 to 8 out of 10. Airship, I'm going to give that one a 9 out of 10, same thing, although I loved it, I thought it was beautiful. I think it could have just used a little bit more oomph into it, but other than that, it was so close to being perfect, I liked it a lot. Objective mode. As I was saying earlier, Tripwire has way too many different modes going on. To kind of help you guys understand what's going on, survival mode, the regular standard maps have 15 of them. That's going to be like your, again, outpost, containment station, those kind of maps, was just one big giant open area. Your holdout maps, there's 3 of them. That's like Power Core, Nightmare. Your progression maps, there's going to be Krampus Slayer, only 1. Endless mode. Endless mode, technically, it has 16 maps because you can play in both Dissector and all of the 15 standard maps. However, I'm only counting as 1 because Dissector is the only one that was specifically made for it, so Endless mode has 1 map. And then lastly but not least, the objective mode now has 1 for Airship. And as I was saying earlier, it's getting to the point where there's just too many maps to be focusing on, because your standard survival mode maps, those definitely have a bit of an edge because there's 15 of them. And I feel like just as the more and more updates come out, we're going to have people bitch about, oh, we need more endless mode focused maps. We need something else more than just Dissector. Okay, so then maybe Tripwire focuses on Dissector and has more endless mode maps. But then people will be complaining, oh, we need more progression maps. And at this point, that is now 5 different types of maps that Tripwire has dug themselves into. And so I feel like if they stuck with the objective mode and adding that, like making Airship both an objective mode map and a standard map, now they're added just 2 new maps to each section. And so again, the biggest thing was that you cannot choose between them. Airship is just an objective mode map in its entirety. The other things affecting my decision on objective mode is going to be that it's not, to me, it's not really objective mode. It's kind of like your standard round, just kind of pointless gimmicks in the background. You don't have to do these, you don't have to do the objectives. It doesn't matter if you do them or not. It just gives you extra money. There's no point in doing it. There's no story being told. So with that, I think objective mode for me, objective mode is going to be about I'll say maybe a 3 or 4 out of 10. Sticking with leaning more towards 3 out of 10 for objective mode. Focusing on the EDARs now, the biggest thing against them is that, like I said earlier, I do not think they fit the overall theme of Killing Floor 2. I'm ignoring their beta problems because that's just what a beta is. It's a test of the bugs. But like I said earlier, they just don't fit the overall theme. Honestly, if Tripwire changed them so they had flesh and looked more like the mutants that we see in the game, I'd be more fine with them. So if it was maybe a Husk with a Trapper Beam, I'd be completely fine with that. They do add a nice variety, so overall, I have to give them a 5 out of 10. Weapon upgrades. Now, as I said, I really don't like these. However, they did some things well with them. I do like being able to increase the power for my Scar, my M99 anti-material rifle. So in that regard, I just think the execution was very poorly done. And so, like I said, there's a couple ideas I had of maybe lowering the upgrade cost, lowering the gun cost, because at the moment there's just too much money needed to get good weapons in the game. And so for the weapon upgrades, I'm thinking I'm gonna give that a 2 out of 10 rather than just a 1, because like I said, it wasn't completely crap. There's a couple of good ideas I like that Tripwire had. And finally, the weapons. I have to say, it's hard saying it, but I think they have a perfect 10 out of 10. So congrats on Tripwire for those. That's something they've always really done well with. While I love the maps, I love the scenery in Killing Floor 2, Tripwire really knows how to make some badass guns. And so with the whole Static Strikers, I was surprised at how much I enjoyed playing as a Berserker. Same with the M99 AMR. It just added a lot of oomph to the sharpshooter, and I personally think it beats the railgun, even without the tracking sensor on it to double the damage. I think the anti-material rifle really does well in that area. It doesn't need the ungunned guided shots. It just does a lot of damage already. It has quite a bit of rounds, and if you have the quick reload perk, you can quickly reload it to deal extra damage. And then lastly, the Doomstick, my favorite gun. Again, same thing, I absolutely love this gun. You can tell that there's a lot of power behind it, so I'm glad that Tripwire added a couple more powerful guns into the game, because I think we've seen a lot of too many of the tier 2s and tier 3 weapons, such as like the flare guns, which was introduced way back, the MAC-10 and that kind of thing. So I'm glad to see some more tier 4 weapons being added to this game, because it's really coming together and makes it look gorgeous and beautiful. But now that that recap is done, I have to say my goodbyes. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a like, and if you have not done so already, please give me a subscribe. I need all the help I can get. If you did not like the video, give it a dislike and let me know in the comments why you did not like it. Other than that, if you have some other, like maybe your own 2 cents, because I just gave you all my opinions, let me know yours. Because like I said, all this was my opinions. I personally love the guns. I love the maps. I did not like the upgrade system, but that could change. Maybe you loved it. Maybe you think this upgrade system, how Killing Floor 2 should be. So let me know in the comments what you think, because if you enjoyed it, I want to know. I want to have some good discussion with you guys. I'm not going to be an asshole and kind of like say your opinion sucks because it sucks. I want to see what you really think, and I want to talk to you guys about it. So again, if you have anything to disagree on with, let me know. I'd love to talk to you about it further. Other than that, I hope you all have a great rest of your night and a great rest of your weekend. Take it easy, guys. Stay safe.